Right, on to this now. So Police Crime Intelligence Head Major General Dumisani Khumalo has been arrested. News 24 says he was taken into custody at OR Tambo International Airport yesterday. Khumalo was preparing to depart a flight traveling abroad. He's been linked to an ongoing investigation into alleged unlawful senior appointments. Well, for a reaction on the story, we are joined by the South African Police Union spokesperson, Lesiba Thobakgale, and of course, security strategist and former Interpol ambassador, Mr. Andy Mashaile. Gentlemen, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I do want to start with you, Mr. Mashaile. This is really quite something. I mean, this is a high-level individual here, police crime intelligence boss that is being arrested at an airport. It speaks to perhaps the confidence that we might very well need to have in our own intelligence. What do you say to that?
Osna Lady, good evening to you and to my brother Lesiba. This instills confidence in the fight against corruption. This NPA institution is now referred to as the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption. This is a further in the fight against corruption. For the arrest of the general, obviously there are allegations that are put before him. Just for a police officer to be arrested, and this still will be played out in a court of law, it means the people of this country and law enforcement agencies will do everything to investigate and put the cases or the matters before the court of law. And obviously, Ntate Dumisani is innocent until proven guilty, and all those that would be arrested or have been arrested are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty, but these are big allegations, and I wonder what you make of it, Mr. Thobakgale. This the idea of a high-level police crime intelligence boss arrested for unauthorized appointments. I mean, what do you make of particularly that allegation that he's facing?
Thank you, Naledi, for having us, and evening to Dr. Mashaile. I think from our perspective, it is clear that it is worrisome that senior managers within the South African Police Services or service have been arrested in regards to those allegations that are labeled against them. And also, we need to commend those who have effected the arrest. And by commending them, we are not saying that those members are guilty. Like we are always subscribing to a principle that everyone is innocent up until they are proven guilty by the court of law. But I want to also to mention this issue from our perspective as SAPU, that this it should be a clear message given to junior members that it's not only them who gets to be subjected to investigations and arrests come through. And when we see senior managers being arrested, it clearly means that no one is above the law. And you could remember, Naledi, for a longest time, SAPU was up about the issue of crime intelligence, more especially when it comes to the issue of leadership, to say the leadership in crime intelligence about issues that arose from there, maybe dating a little bit back to the issues of the grabbers at that time, the buying of the grabbers being used. And it also brings us those types of concerns that we have raised as SAPU to say, is crime intelligence really doing what is expected of them? Are they clearly still carrying the mandate that they are supposed to be carrying? Because it also brought questions to us to say, is crime intelligence being used for political interests and so on? So these types of arrests, somehow they happen to be interlinked with those concerns that we had. But in the case of the arrests, I mean, as much as it remains to be worrisome to us to say senior managers are involved in those, including the head thereof, our principle remains to be the same, to say that they must not be tried in the media or through any form of public opinion, since there are court processes that are there. And if there's indeed a case that they have to answer, even internal processes will unfold. But it becomes worrisome about crime intelligence state within the South African Police Service context in this regard, to say here we are talking about a very important division that plays a role in making sure that proactive policing it is indeed upheld, and also making sure that reactive policing in terms of information, in terms of making sure that the police, they know they have got the eyes and ears everywhere in the country in order to address the high levels of crime. But if there's arrests that come from there, there's no way that we will not be worried. But we don't want to see anyone being judged. We don't say them being arrested, it means that they are guilty, but we will allow the processes to unfold based on those charges that are leveled against the general and anyone else who is involved in the very same allegations, Naledi.
Yeah, I mean, News 24, for instance, reporting that this isn't the first time, in fact, it's the second time that we see senior crime intelligence officers being arrested, and they cite the crime intelligence's chief financial officer, who was arrested alongside 2 other crime intelligence officers. I'm keen to hear, Mr. Mashaile, just how incredibly difficult it is when you are investigating such high-level officials and people with quite a bit of power where state security and intelligence is concerned. I mean, it cannot be an easy task. And you speak about how this is, I think, a notch on the belt of officials that have been able to affect this arrest, but certainly not an easy one to get to.
Now, Lady, hence you find in other instances people being killed for investigating serious things like cigarette smuggling from Zimbabwe into South Africa. We all remember General Maswangani and the 2 police officers who have been sentenced and are serving a sizable number of years in jail. There are those police officers who have sworn to the rule of law, and those officers who get the backing of some of us to say, Lona baba ikemiseditseng to serve the people of this country. We will continuously support you. Having it been in that space of those in the blue uniform, Lebontate Thobakgale, it becomes worrisome when a general is arrested. He is supposed to know when wrong is happening. And the general is supposed to ensure that he looks after those who have little information in terms of the impact of any arrest. Remember, Naledi, when they are arrested, whether they will walk scot-free or not from a court of law, the damage to their reputation and the integrity and the brand of the South African policing services has been done. If you go back to crime intelligence and you remember the stories of Ntate Richard Mdluli, even up to this today, when people talk about crime intelligence, they bring the weaknesses of the former leader of crime intelligence. And what really gets to my goat, Naledi, crime intelligence has a budget of 4 billion plus. When you look at the Hawks and other units, they have a pittance in terms of their resources. Those who are entrusted with a big amount of money to keep us safe do things that we really don't understand and that we don't like. So long story short, Naledi, let the processes unfold and let those good police officers, even if they have to arrest me or you, Naledi, or Ntate Lesiba, those who are clean, we must encourage them and pat them on the back. Those who are rogue, we must actually send them to the pit bulls. The pit bulls would be your courts and your judges and the magistrates of the land.
Yeah, this is the thing, and Mr. Mashaile is speaking about, those who are good needing to be supported and those who are not needing to be dealt with. And Mr. Thobakgale, I'll let you have the final thoughts here. Actually, as I reflect on that, I think about how just this week we saw an event where the SAPS had a march and a gathering wherein they raised the issue of growing concerns around gender-based violence within the SAPS. I bring that up because it speaks to the broader need for us to clean up our our police service? I mean, are you confident in our ability to continue to do so, and certainly the resources that are necessary?
Yeah, Naledi, in 2022 at our National Congress that was held in Limpopo, Polokwane, we took a resolution, and that resolution speaks of revolution against corruption, drugs, and gender-based violence, that it starts with us, the working class. So that remains to be our principle, even moving forward, even with whatever that happens in this country that involves, it could be law enforcement officers or any worker, to say, us as workers, we need not to be the perpetrators of those crimes, because we are here as the protectors. And as the protectors, we need to make sure that we protect without any form of reproach, without anything that would indeed find us to be one. More especially when it comes to issues that has to do with corruption, when it comes to issues that has to do with gender-based violence, any issues that really has to do with the issue of drugs, meaning that we really need to fight against them. And we need to continue to applaud the good work that police officers are doing. I mean, there's too many arrests that gets to be made. There's a lot of protection that the police happen to do in terms of making sure that they are patrolling our streets day and night, even when we are not in our homes. So we need to clearly appreciate our law enforcement at large, because majority of them are doing what is expected. But if those who get to be found wanting, the internal processes and even the court processes must be allowed to take place. But we should not be clouded by a few of those who are not doing what is expected, but largely let us appreciate those who are doing what is expected of them. Yeah,
interesting perspectives from the two gentlemen, saying this is really a moment of pride in our authorities to be able to crack down on such big cases. Of course, investigations and, there is the issue of whether or not one is innocent before proven guilty, and that process still needs to take place. But thank you so much for your time, Mr. Lesiba Thobakgale, who is, of course, with the South African Policing Union, and security strategist, former Interpol ambassador, Mr. Andy Mashaile, speaking to us on Newsfeed PM, the late edition. Let's take a short break. More news on the other side.